what are some of the things that you learned in regards to like owning property and managing all that stuff? What are like some of like the hard lessons you learned in regards to money in that regard? Oh, how much do you actually keep up with stocks and stuff like that? Or is this you go for the same stuff?
For people tell you shit like, oh yeah, like I buy stocks, I follow the market, I trade crypto. 99% of these.
So I don't know if you were like me, but my parents taught me like nothing about money other than how to save it.
My parents taught me everything about how not to spend your money. So
As somebody who's ultra conservative with their money, what would you think be a sensible thing to spend money on?
Dan is not dead, guys.
Hello?
Hi, what's up, buddy?
Hey man, hold up, give me a sec. I need to get my headphones.
Oh
I
my
didn't think you'd
fucking
respond
God.
so quickly.
Why? I always respond to you instantaneously. What do you mean?
That's cap. No, more normally you either ignore it or you instantly respond.
Oh, well, I instantly respond this time, so.
Yeah, no, I wasn't ready. I had my pants down. Give me a second. I'm done masturbating.
Okay, you're good.
How you doing, man? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Yeah. I feel like with you especially, well, obviously it's on stream, but I feel like even if you're doing shitty, you wouldn't tell me. So I like asking that question for no reason.
I have like my content and my mood kind of like ebb and flow. Like the past couple months have been pretty slow, but now we're starting to pick up again, so yeah.
I feel you. All right. Yes. All right. So I want to ask you, obviously, I don't know how much you follow real estate markets and stuff like that, but you've been in the game a lot longer than I have, and I feel like you probably owned property in the past before. So
Okay.
I want to chit chat to you about that. Can I ask you, have you ever owned a spot?
Yeah, I bought my first house in 2008, maybe, or 9, and then I own one house right now that my son and girlfriend live in, or son and ex-girlfriend.
Oh, is this in Omaha?
Yeah,
Right. So like that place, like you could buy a house for like $10, right? Like nobody really.
it's not Detroit, okay, but yeah.
It's relatively it's a good housing market in comparison to when you were living
Sure, yeah.
in Los Angeles. When you bought the house, like what are some of the things that you learned in regards to like owning property and managing all that stuff? What are like some of like the hard lessons you learned in regards to money in that regards?
Are you talking about owning property to rent to other people or for you to have on your own?
Both. Honestly, I'm really learning. Obviously, with the YouTube stuff taking off, I had to make sure I become a little bit more intelligent about money, and so savings not enough. So yeah, I'd be willing to interested.
Gotcha.
to
Okay.
hear about it.
Number one, ignore everything everybody says on the internet. All of them are kids. They're rentoids that are dipshits. They think that like owning houses is cheap and based and awesome compared to renting an apartment for a whole bunch of reasons they don't understand because they've never owned property or had to work for anything in their entire lives. So that's the first thing. Ignore everybody online, okay? So
Okay.
rule number one is it's a lot of work and it's a lot more money than you think. Also, some things will make you suicidal. There's nothing quite like being a homeowner and then going into your basement and seeing a crack in the floor and not knowing if like the weather got too cold and there's just like something like expanding or freezing, or if you have foundation issues and you're looking at like $20,000 to $30,000 minimum to get your house back to something that can even be sold. There's like, so there are, and also like when things start to go wrong in houses, it's usually really expensive. Like a new furnace, a new air conditioning system, new windows. All of these repairs or replacements are like in the thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, new roof. So always like make sure that you're budgeting for that. Sometimes people will just look at like the mortgage and they'll be like, oh, like, look, oh, it's a little bit cheaper than renting. And they'll think that like, oh, that's cool, we're good. But yeah, there's a lot of hidden costs that go into homeownership. That's number one. Number two is apartments, you can sit in and do whatever, and who cares? You know, you can move apartments, you know, who cares, whatever. Houses require maintenance. You have to upkeep these. You can't just like run the house into the ground into shit because there's a whole bunch of like random shit that your landlord might do or take care of that you don't know about that now you have to do, right?
Right.
Like bathrooms, like sinks are going to need to be replaced every now and then. Toilets will need to be fixed. Plumbing might go bad that you have to come in and have people look at things. Gas lines might leak or break. Furnace, make sure you remember to change like the filters in your furnace. Like there's like a bunch of shit like that, a bunch of maintenance stuff that you have to be on top of as a house owner. You have to do things. I'm guessing it's the same in Canada as there is in the United States. You're legally obligated to maintain a certain appearance in your yard, to shovel your sidewalks. Like these are all things you have to do.
Yeah, I don't do any of that shit in my apartment, so I definitely see what you're talking about. And actually, my landlord did renovate the bathroom 3 years into my stay in this spot, so he did like a really good job with it, which I was actually pretty impressed with. And those are costs that I probably didn't think about too much.
Yeah.
People keep telling me, and I haven't listened to this advice at all, but people keep telling me buy a house and then just rent it out. But I also know I don't have the energy or the time to waste being a landlord. nor do I know how deeply I want to be involved with like a renter's company taking care of that stuff and like taking a huge cut. Like, I don't know how much I want to be involved with all that shit.
It's going to cut into your costs or your revenue a little bit, but you can get like a property manager. There are like companies that will do things like that for you. But it just depends on how much you want to spend on that and everything. Yeah.
Right, but like, do they also take care of the whole process of finding you tenants and all that stuff?
I think some will. Yeah. I wouldn't know as much about that because I haven't explored that before. But I think you'll find ones that'll basically do everything for you.
Yeah, I think for me the main thing is like as far as money goes is I don't know how involved I want to be in the process of like creating more of that wealth. And so oftentimes when people tell me about like these like attention inducing activities I can engage in, whether it be like following stocks super heavy, like I don't got time to be reading reports and staying up to date on the latest stock market stuff. So maybe then you get somebody to trade on your behalf. Same thing with like renting. It's like I don't know if I want to be really that involved in all that. So for me, the things that I think about when I think about investing my money is more so businesses that I want to be hands on and have some say in and be like understanding the market itself rather than renting per se. And so that's, I guess, just some of my reservations about it. What are some other reservations you think I should have when it comes to buying a home and then renting it out?
If you want to make money doing that, it's going to be an active process. This is going to be like another mini job, or you're going to get a property manager and it's going to cost more to do it. So just keep that in mind. Honest to God, I think like really good things you can do with your money is just throw it in like pretty safe investments and just let it grow. That's what I do with all of my money. If there's like fun business ideas you want to invest in, that's good. I wouldn't put like all of your investments into like one company and hope that it grows huge. But yeah, I think just like boring investments, like VT, VOO, like I guess SPY or whatever, like shit like this stuff that tracks broad markets, just do that.
How much do you actually keep up with stocks and stuff like that, or is this you go for the same stuff?
I don't keep up with stocks ever. You are never going to beat the market unless you're willing to start putting in. If you're willing to start putting in several hours a day of research, you might hit a point where you might have a chance in some periods of time of maybe beating some other people, but it's not reliable. Like there are arguments, and I don't even know these are set up. There are arguments for whether professional traders ever beat the market ever. Like Warren Buffett, I think, made a huge bet with. Was it 10? Was it over 5 years or whatever with like 10 other hedge fund managers over whether or not any of them could beat like the average market? And not a single one won the bet. He lost. Every other one lost. Like nobody could just beat the average market return. It was over 8 years. So yeah, I don't know. Whenever people tell you shit like, oh yeah, like I buy stocks, I follow the market, I trade crypto, 99% of the time these guys don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I want to ask you, so sometimes like I'll go to the bank and the bank starts talking to you funny once you make a bit of money, right? And they're like, all right, listen,
they want to sell you all sorts of products, yeah.
Yeah, they start talking to me about, listen, there's like a 12% return on investment. You're gonna increase whatever funds you put in because we beat it last year by 12%, and then last year before that was 15, but the year before that was -4. And how much of these numbers are even real?
They're probably true. There are a lot of funds that can beat the market for a couple years, but what you want to find long, stable funds that are performing well, consistently well for long periods of time. There is no such thing as a fund that consistently beats the market over a long period of time. It's all about the volume part. It's all about the time. Yeah.
So when you say beats the market, is that they don't lose any of the money, or is that like whatever the market is doing in terms of increase, they gain a larger percentage?
Exactly, yeah. Like what is the entire market? If the entire market is up 7% and your portfolio is up 2%, well, then whoever's investing your money is just fucking up, yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because I just became super suspicious of everybody who started approaching me once there's just a bit of money in the picture, and I didn't know whether folks were coming in with honest intentions or just trying to sell me on pipe dreams. But I will say, having a bit of money, well, actually not having money made me realize how useless my savings account is, because I just looked at the interest rate and I was like, well, what's the point of this? This is like 0.3, and there's like a fee for even having this thing, but it gets negated after a certain amount of income. Like, what's the point of a savings account? Because I remember my dad and my mom used to talk to me about their savings account and how important it was to have one, how good it was, and they used to have like 4% interest rates. I'm like, that doesn't even exist. Yeah.
Oh, they might have had, although that's really high. There are special savings accounts where, Jesus Christ, one was called a money market deposit account, an MMDA. But I could be wrong. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong on this. Savings accounts might track the is it the federal funds rate will influence, like the CD rates and everything might influence what you get on a savings account. So maybe at one point in time they were higher, but interest rates have been really low in the US for a long time, so they're kind of shit. So yeah. Because way back then, do you have things called CDs, certificates of deposit in Canada?
Sorry, repeat that again.
Do you have certificates of deposit in Canada, CDs?
What are those?
it's just like a safe investment. You basically give the government like $100, and then like in 4 years they'll give you back like $120 or something.
Not that I know of.
Okay, okay. Yeah, we used to have those in the U.S. and people recommend like, oh, this is like part of a good investment strategy because way back in like the year like 2004, you could find CDs that would give you like outrageous returns that were like competitive almost with the market for how safe they were. But these days, I think CDs give you like 0.5% or like some garbage shit or whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like a good investment anymore. So I think we used to, what was it called? I think right now we don't have anything like CDs that I know of. Pretty much nowadays, most people what they talk about when it comes to like government involvement in their savings is normally retirement funds, and so that's pretty much the only thing.
Gotcha.
What's your
People are
contribution?
saying it's guaranteed investment certificates in Canada, GICs. So, okay, sorry.
Oh, I actually have heard of GICs,
Okay.
but that's how like so. I don't know if you were like me, but my parents taught me like nothing about money other than how to save it.
My parents taught me everything about how not to spend your money, so I had very good teachers growing up.
Right. So not spending my money was like something I knew to do from a young age. I've always had money in my savings. Even when I was struggling, I always knew how to like start working before the savings ever went down. So that was never an issue. But in terms of like investing, I had no idea. In terms of like property, in terms of all these things, just zero clue. So when I would hear stuff like GICs, I'm like, I don't know what that shit is. I remember when I left the military, they asked me, do you want to leave your pension fund or do you want to take it out? And I was like, what you talking about? And so I didn't know I was even making contributions to a pension fund. And if I take it out, there's
You're
a
gonna
penalty.
get hugely fucked for it. Yeah, careful.
There's a penalty. But listen, the pension fund at the time was like $50K that they'd accumulated for me. And I'll never forget it. She said, actually, last year it was 75, but the market went down. So your pension fund got fucked. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, if you would have taken out the money. I got so mad at her because I felt like they just robbed me of this thing I didn't even know existed. But I ended up taking out my pension fund, and instead of getting 50K, I think I got like 35K. There's like a huge penalty on the amount. But the reason why is in my head, I couldn't even imagine myself getting to 60. I'm like, I'm going to die before that. Like, I need this money now, you know? So I ended up taking out the money and then using it for my business. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I didn't even understand the importance of having a pension fund or these things like that. These are things my parents never talked to me about, or retirement funds. So I didn't know if you had the same struggle when you came into money.
Yeah, my parents didn't really tell me any of that. But I've always been like a decently smart kid, and I went to a really good school, so I was able to pick up a lot of this on my own.
Really? Like when at what age do you think like you started getting good with money in regards to like how to utilize it, not just save it but actually use it?
I mean, there were a couple things that I learned early on to never carry a balance on credit cards. Interest will fucking destroy your lives. Don't spend above your means. Like, these were things that I learned pretty early on in life, just watching how my parents would spend money. So,
damn, that's the same thing with me. I've never had a balance that carried over from month to month on my credit card. Yeah, so I feel like I'm very similar. But I guess what made you kind of decide to go out there and learn about property housing and stuff like that? Was it just the fact that you had a child?
Oh, I wanted a house because I just liked the idea of having a house. It just seemed like really cool to me at the time. So I was like, oh, cool, I want a house. So I don't have to worry about like noise from neighbors or like me making too much noise or anything like that. And yeah.
And then you ended up buying a house, and now I guess your girlfriend or your ex and your child. Yeah, and your child lived there. Do you feel like your investment in the house was a good idea?
No, not like financially. But in terms of like, I liked having a house and everything. Yeah, that was for sure good.
Do you think about how you're going to leave that to your child when you pass away someday or whatever it might be?
No, fuck, I don't care about that shit. I'll leave them a fuck ton of money.
You don't think most people when they think about buying a house, they want to leave something for their children. They want to have a home that they can like raise their kids in. That feels like
I like the idea of that. Like that's why I liked because his mom. It's the living situation is kind of weird, but like his mom was living in an apartment at the time, and I didn't like the idea. I don't like income disparity between parents. That makes me really uncomfortable because I don't want to be like the rich parent and my kid's mom's like the poor. That sounded really bad. So the idea was that like, and then also like living in a house is nice, right? Like I want my kid to be able to go in the backyard and play with friends and run around and do all that. So that was the reason why I like the idea of the house. But like being attached to like a particular house, I don't really care as much about. I don't know if he does or not, but you know.
That's actually pretty dope. The fact that you actually got her a house and got them a house so they can live in there and be comfortable and be well.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Thanks.
Yeah. Do you want more kids?
Melina might. We'll see how she feels.
I only ask because, like, at that point, would you probably have to consider buying another house, or are you going to just like?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would, right? I already have like I'm paying for like 5 fucking houses because the cost of my Miami apartment is like 3 fucking Nebraska houses. So I mean, like, my rent here, I'm in a 2-bedroom Miami apartment that's like $3,500 a month. So it's not like getting a house would be inexpensive or would be expensive compared to this shit.
That's actually the reason why I moved to Montreal originally 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I found out like apartments here were like $800 for 2 bedrooms, $700 for like 1 bedroom apartments. I couldn't believe the prices because I lived in Los Angeles before. I lived in other Canadian cities that were expensive. Even other like I lived in New Orleans, that was even more expensive.
Yeah.
So I
You're
get
in
to
Montreal now, though?
Yeah, I've been in Montreal
Yeah.
for 7 years now.
So it's
And
not
I find
that
this
cheap anymore,
apartment's a
right?
3 bedroom. It's not that cheap for people trying to move there now, but it's still substantially cheaper than being in Miami, for example.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I have my apartment that I got 7 years ago, and like it's 1,100 for a 3 bedroom with a backyard. So I'm like, today that's unheard of. You won't find that even in the city or anywhere else. But at the time, everything was kind of normal.
Mhm.
And so, when I think about living in a place like Miami, that's one of the reasons why I don't want to move. It's like I can't, even though I can't afford it, in my head I just can't justify having to pay that much to live in a place. Does that make sense?
I kind of know what you mean. I was like that initially, yeah.
Okay, so what changed for you other than like, is it just like, oh, this is a much better place to be in than Los Angeles? For you, it wasn't really that big of a move. It seems
Yeah.
like a lateral move to go from LA to.
I think that I think that we typically we have very bad ways of looking at money. I just try to have a more holistic way of looking at money, at like the money that I was spending. Because like you'll oftentimes hear people say things like, oh, well, when you buy an apartment, you're putting money into a black hole. That's like the most common argument against like renting. But like I try to think more now, like, okay, well, when I spend money, like what am I actually spending money on? What am I getting, you know? So like I could get, you know, my 3 bedroom, 2 full bathroom house in Nebraska,
Obama.
which is I think I pay like $1,400 a month for the mortgage. Or I could have my fucking Miami apartment that's like over twice as expensive. But like, what am I getting, you know? I could pay a certain amount of money to live in Nebraska, but how much money would I pay extra to have like more relevant friends around me, more things to do, you know, these types of things, happy place for Melina. Like how much money would I pay to get access to those things? That's really what you're paying for when you're renting, right? You're paying to be in a particular area for a particular period of time.
Facts. That's definitely true. I think one of the reasons I also have moved from here is like the connections I've made, the friends I've made.
Yeah, exactly.
Those it's hard to put a price on that because I could take my money and go to like some poor European country, live like a king, you know, get myself
Yeah,
like
exactly.
a white maid and have a good life. It's very feasibly possible, but I'd be away from everybody I've ever known, my family, my friends, my community, all the connections I've made from a business standpoint. So it's just that's what makes it not feasible for me. And I think that's also what makes it hard to move because honestly, during this pandemic, with everything going down, I thought about moving to a different state. I thought about moving to Florida. But all the stuff that you mentioned is basically the main reason why I didn't move. So I guess I would ask you then, what was the stuff that made you want to move other than like being closer to European time and the sunny weather?
From LA or from Nebraska?
Both.
Nebraska, I hate that place. It's just I have a lot of like bad memories associated with it. I don't enjoy it. Like there's nothing for me at all in that city except for my son. The only reason I stayed there for as long as I did is because I wanted him to be old enough when I like moved for him to be able to like communicate long distance. Like I didn't want to have to talk to like my 2-year-old son through, you know, iPhone would be kind of weird. So yeah, getting out of that place I think was important for my mental health, and then kind of being in areas that are more likely to have like other human beings in them. Even though I don't go out too much, it's nice to be able to go out and socialize and talk to people that are in like relevant areas of interest, right? Like there are no like streamers in Omaha, Nebraska. That whole industry doesn't exist out there as much as it does either on like the east or west coast or even in Austin, you know.
Right. And so
yeah.
moving to Miami was also to be closer to streamers?
The Miami move was because Melina really wanted to be in a better time zone. She wanted beach stuff. And then I have friends that live here in my apartment building, actually, yeah. So.
You didn't want to be closer to your Cuban roots?
No, fuck no. We don't go to those parts of Miami, okay?
Hey man, considering how much I heard about Gusano, I thought maybe you would like be out here eating Cubanos and some shit, or I don't know, just getting close to
identifying with
your
my
people.
yeah.
No, at least it would have made it more valid. But yeah, I guess with the transition that I'm making with the cash stuff, I just wanted to think more about what to do with the money and how to be smart about it. And so yeah, if there's any advice that you had, I'd definitely be keen to listen.
Yeah, one is like, so make sure that you are maxing the fuck out of whatever your guaranteed return safe shit is in Canada. In the United States, we've got things called 401ks and IRAs. These are investments that everybody should be, because they're usually incredibly tax advantaged. So you always want to do those firstly. People are saying TFSA for Canada and RRSP. I don't know what the fuck that is, but that.
Yeah. I know exactly what they're talking about. Just the Canadian equivalent.
There's that. Secondly is don't ever carry a balance on any credit card ever. Don't ever do that. 3, the only things you should ever really take out loans for are houses and maybe cars. But other than that, you're never like taking loans out to buy shit. If you can't afford it now, then you can't afford it. Just wait a few months till you can get it. 1, 2, 3. For budgeting, make sure that you don't like every time you make more money, you're like buying a new bill. People do that a lot where they make new money and then they start buying new things that they've got to make payments on, or like they upgrade their shit like immediately. Don't do that. Like it's always good to have a lot of money in the bank just because you've got a lot of freedom attached to that. Use credit cards. No, never mind. You're Canadian. Just don't use credit cards. RBC sucks. Trying to think. I don't know if there's any other like.
So this is going to be a weird question. This is good advice for saving money. My question is going to be the opposite. As somebody who's ultra conservative with their money, what would you think be a sensible thing to spend money on? I think I have the opposite problem. My problem is not losing money. I keep money very, very well. My problem is, I guess, getting out of the mindset of even being comfortable spending money.
Just, I mean, spend money on things you like. It depends on what you like. It's easy for me because I don't like to do much, right? I just buy computer shit or whatever. But I like to travel, so I'll spend money on traveling. But yeah, just do that. But be smart, I guess, on what you spend money on. Make sure that you're always using like the rewards programs and all that shit, you know?
Yeah. Okay. I think these are pretty good advices. Do you have any experiences with money that kind of scarred you, whether it's like not having it or having too much?
I mean, I wasted the first year I got into streaming like full time. I think I made $100,000 and I wasted it all immediately. I couldn't believe how quickly like I could waste money like that. So
what?
like,
How'd you waste it?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. You can 100,000 can evaporate. Like, but the thing is that like the year before I did carpet cleaning and I made like it would have been like $20,000. So I figured that like $100,000 is an infinite amount of money. Like you're getting $8,000 paychecks a month from Twitch. Like there's no way that this money disappears, but it can disappear on random shit so quickly. I don't even know what the fuck I spent it on. I don't have anything to show for it. I didn't like travel that much. I think I went to like Utah once to see Mia Rose and then maybe one other place. But like, yeah, I have no idea. Just on stupid shit everywhere, it just disappeared.
Come on, did you not pay for some expensive prostitutes? Like, what'd you spend that money?
I don't buy anything. I don't have anything, right? I still have my GTI, like my old car. I don't buy like clothes or any shit like that. I don't like. I guess I upgraded my computer one time, but like no, I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. The money just disappeared in it. It's just like dumb shit, like going out to eat a ton, like spending money on just dumb shit. It just must have been stupid shit. Yeah.
Hey man, if you were under criminal investigation, they'd definitely be looking into you for sure. That sounded super sus. 100K is not an easy amount to spend. I don't care how much eating out you do.
Have you? I don't want to. I can't say the word. There's a word that I can't say. Have you? Fuck. I'm not bringing this up because it's you. I swear to God. Okay. Have you ever heard the expression "N-word rich"?
No.
Oh
I'm
shit.
like Jigga rich?
Yes. Yeah. You've never heard that expression before?
Nah.
Yeah, you can get a lot of money as a poor person and just it's gone. And it happens enough that there's an expression for it, and that is the expression for it. Where like you can like lose money like just so fast. It happens to people that make millions sometimes, right? Like people will waste money on dumb shit on new cars or whatever, but
I didn't realize the word ended with the ER, but okay, cool.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I was like, I've never heard my homie say this. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not my homie saying that. Cool. All right. I was like, am I living under a rock? How did I not know this? But yes, you can spend money recklessly. I don't disagree. You're
just curious.
I can see people, because I could see people buying jewelry. I could see people like buying like stupid stuff like that or popping bottles in the club. I just couldn't see you. So when you say you spent $100,000, I'm confused. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it must have just been like on going out to eat or dumb shit. Yeah, because I didn't have any jewelry. I didn't have any cool cars. I wasn't even doing drugs at the time, so I wasn't even having fun with it. Yeah, I don't know.
Damn.
Yeah, just
that's
dumb
crazy.
Shit.
That's a crazy amount. I spent, I think last year's the most I ever spent in my life, and it was just like $50,000. But like a lot of that also went back into the business to some degree, so it wasn't even like fully on me. Just took a few trips here and there. But even that, like I looked at my tax at the end. I'm like, damn, this is so much. So I'm just trying to get out of that whole power mindset. But you know what also is like made me realize is just I spoke to you about it a little bit earlier in regards to like my parents and what they didn't teach me. But Preach is completely the opposite. His parents like one of them is an accountant, the other one's like worked in finances for a long time.
Mhm.
So he was, even though we both made like around the same amount, he was much better with his money going straight into it. And like he would talk to me about it a year later, and he's like, yeah, my parents told me to put in this and this, and I ended up buying a property at this point in the market because it was good.
Mhm.
And it just made me realize just how much those lessons from the people before you are important in regards to like how you associate your life with money going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think about even like maybe this is strange. Do you feel like this kind of information is like easily accessible, or is it just that people, it's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing?
Every piece of information is incredibly easily accessible, but that doesn't really matter. The accessibility of information is important, right? This is
Right.
like the concept of like, we can talk about generational wealth or generational privilege. Like generational wealth isn't just the money you get, right? It's all the
Right.
things that you learn from people that are wealthy and everything too, that are like invaluable lessons for people to carry over. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I always get annoyed when people say stuff like, well, most of the millionaires today are not.
Self-made.
Like, but I'm like, do you understand that connections matter, that who your parents introduce you to and like the lessons they give you are just as pivotal in
Or
regards to,
more
like,
so,
spiritual-
right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Bill Gates, I think, said that like, I'm not leaving my children a cent, and it's like, that's great, dude. But like, they're Bill Gates' children. Like these guys are gonna be fine, man. Like you're not like setting them out to the wolves. Like Jesus.
I definitely agree. And you heard like Kim Kardashian's comments, right?
Which ones over?
The most recent one where everyone lost their minds because she says women in business.
Oh, need to work harder or some shit. Yeah, I need to hustle.
Yeah. And look, I feel like some people are just dumping on her because it's Kim Kardashian. Obviously, it's like anytime
course.
this girl opens her mouth, everyone's like, "You suck dick on camera! Shut up, whore!" Like, and that's just going to be the general consensus. But I think maybe this is more so my pet peeve with general guru advice and like financial people. But oftentimes it seems like it's always axed on like grinding and hard work. But there's very little discussions about the importance of making good connections, the importance of fostering those relationships and how they're going to help you professionally, the importance of understanding how to manage your money, saving it, all these little things that really propel you forward. Because people look at me sometimes like, wow, but you worked hard. But I also saved all my money before I transitioned from the military to the art scene. So I had money in the bank when I was operating in the negative for many years. I didn't have to work a part-time job or do all this other stuff. I kept my money. And then when I need to do the art stuff, I had 5 years of a buffer period where I could just take side gigs here and there and have time. People don't have discussions about that portion of it. It's just work hard. Work hard. Don't sleep. And I feel like it's irresponsible because there's so much more that goes into it. I don't even think like working hard is the most important thing.
Yeah, wait, your internet's kind of cutting it in a little bit. You said I don't think working hard is the most important thing. Oh, well, looks like he wasn't working hard enough.
Essentially, it's far more important.
Oh shit, he's back, sorry. Oh, hello? Your internet's kind of like buzzing in and out.